we've gotten to our 10th episode. That's pretty cool.
Honestly, I should have said that. I'm not your typical Aries. I'm worse. I'm double Gemini. That suits for both of us, to be honest.
Yep.
We are way worse underneath it all. That's why we
Underneath it
all look
all.
under the hood. You got to know what's
Yes.
going on under the hood.
Yeah, we take it from different directions. She's got moon in Gemini. I've got moon in Scorpio. So I'm always digging under the rocks, and she's gathering all the information from all the different voices out there. So together, we've got a good show for you today, I think.
We're
We're
pretty curious and inquisitive, and we like to turn the rocks over and see what the bugs are doing underneath. So if you can get with that, stick around.
and welcome Humanitarians Unite. Welcome everybody that's here. This is typically about astrology, but we end up talking about our lives too. We talk about tarot sometimes. We might talk about anything and everything today. We don't usually have this crazy plan. We wing it because we're working on our wings, and
We're, we have a little bit of a gift for gab and can turn over. We could just talk about anything anyways. So, and we're neurodivergent, so we're probably gonna anyway. So why stick to structure too much? But we have a general idea. So transits sound interesting.
we're
I I'm
yep.
most curious what you think about the sextile because I don't think about sextiles nearly as often as I should.
Well,
So,
my mind is constantly on sextiles. So sextiles are a really interesting thing. So you have the trine, which is basically a fire sign to a fire sign generally, or an air sign to
mhm,
an air sign. The trine is I think 120 degrees. The sextile is half of that. So it's basically like a fire to an air sign or an earth to a water sign generally. If they're close to the edge of either, it can be on either side. But a sextile is really interesting because it is an opportunity. It's never something that's given to you. Kind of trines are ease.
mm, yeah,
Sex
yeah,
sextiles are like you have this opportunity if you take action. So
okay,
sextiles are only they only work if you work with them, so to speak. You've got to actually take action or do something to utilize a sextile. So if you have a sextile coming up like in a transit in your chart, some people just see them as like baby trines, but they're not really baby trines. They are opportunities that require action that usually end up positive. That's like the reality. It's usually an
no,
opportunity for growth. It's not like the square opportunity for growth,
right,
which is like, hey, I'm going to fuck up
friction,
your life until you,
yeah,
learn something. That's like the hard wisdom. You can sometimes get
that's
the easy wisdom from
really
such.
good because I believe I'm Leo is sextile to Gemini, and doesn't that
Yes.
make Aquarius and Aquarius is sextile to Aries, correct?
Yes.
So okay, I need to think about sextiles more. In that case, I'm
Um,
talking to somebody, so, with qualities of a sextile, so that's something
okay.
I'm noticing, isn't the easiest, but it's not the worst.
No, sextiles are well. I mean, okay. So
So,
think about
I
fire and air, right? Like so, air feeds fire generally. Um, water and earth. Water feeds earth, right? It's like that creates the conditions for growth for blooming, right? And then in a different way, air feeds fire, which creates the conditions for more fire or bigger fire or more useful fire. Um, you use the bellows on the fireplace to get it crackling good. Um,
bellows.
to all the people that are here watching, feel free to make comments, to ask questions if there's anything that's confusing. We love
Yeah,
it if it's interactive.
hell yeah.
Or sit in silence and enjoy us as we talk at you. But yeah, we're open to people talking, so, or
The only
bringing
thing
in
that
ideas.
gets that sorry, I thought one of your pauses was a pause. It was just a breath. My bad.
It's fun. You're an
That
Aries.
that happens sometimes. Um, so when it comes to sextiles, I used to sit and watch Rick Levine in person and when I
Mhm.
lived in Washington. And the only thing that I really remember about him saying about sextiles was sexy sextiles. So it's not very elaborate and I know it's harmonious, but it's not like easy harmonious. It's like
No,
earned, like you
it's
said. So
earned. Yeah,
there's like
effort.
there's more consideration I need to do to that because I don't think I have that many sextiles in my chart that I can remember.
I have
Too
quite a
many.
few. Quite a few sextiles in my chart. I have Neptune is sextile Pluto. So Neptune is in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto, and Neptune is in Sagittarius, sextile Mercury in Libra.
Okay.
So yeah. So it connects to the triple conjunction in Libra for me. So I've had when you have it in your chart and you're able to kind of watch it play out, it makes it a little bit easier to understand things. Um, the
I think
thing
I have
that
more
I don't,
squares and oppositions and
you know,
like trines.
trines are nice. I mean, I don't have very many trines, so I
But
would
it's a
love
trine
to
to
have a trine.
Uranus. It's a trine
That
to Uranus.
that means that you can get through change easier than most people can, and that also generally means because it's trying to, it'll activate Uranus, so you're more likely to go through more transition and more change than the average ram. You
Well,
know.
and it's in my seventh house. Well, so we all know. Like I might be juggling relationships here. Who knows?
That is very Gemini coded to juggle relationships.
Perhaps. Honestly, I'm
Um,
in a new era. I am tired of being celibate, so I've been talking to a lot of men, a lot of men, a lot of men lately.
well, good.
But I have a favorite.
What's his sign
I already talked about him.
today?
I asked about sextiles to
Okay.
Aries and Gemini.
Oh
I was
yeah,
very
there's
clever with it. I snuck it in.
Aquarius. Aquarius is
It
sextile.
was it was real subtle. Like I s-
That's
I slid
that's
it right in
interesting.
there.
So Aquarius tends to be kind of detached and they tend to set back a little bit. And that kind of creates the chaser in Aries, which I've seen it play out a lot of times. So have you been chasing a little bit?
I
Just out of curiosity?
I I have been avoiding that. But
Okay.
you got to remember that half of my Aries is retrograde. So it can be a compulsion that I don't actually perform. I can feel every ounce of it, but I have this thing about introversion with it. So it's loud in my mind, but in
Hmm.
my actions, I'm very feminine with it. That's because my Mars is still in Taurus.
Hmm.
It's still in the 12th house. So I like to bury all of that and with my moon in the 12th, all of that. So I like to think I'm pretty good at with the detachment game because it's also in the 11th house. You know? So
Yes.
I like to think that I can avoid text walls or
Yeah.
but I have been bratting. I have been bratting. I've been doing a significant amount of bratting. But I only sulk if he contacts me first. So I'm not like
Got
chasing.
good. Good. Smart. You kind of got to play it really, really carefully with Aquarius because they're skittish. They're like deer, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
you
almost said
gotta
I miss you
just
and I
sneak
knew
up
that
on
was
them.
gonna be you can't say that.
Yeah.
So
That
I almost broke it, but there's no way I can break what's it, the break the frame yet.
that implies emotional attachment, which
Mm-mm.
Aquarius is not
Yeah, no.
known for. Um,
That's not okay.
okay. Well, if he does watch this, he knows he's the guy, so that's good. So hopefully, you know, he doesn't watch it, so that the other ones that are on the back burner don't realize that they're on the back burner. Um,
Nobody actually, dude, one guy hasn't been talking to me like for 2 weeks, but I think he's using Chat GPT. I don't think he's very invested. It's just like Are you kidding though? Are you so for real? Are you gonna like he breaks it a little bit and then he's like being real well a little bit, but I don't feel like I know anything about him because basically all he does is reply to me line by line by line. That's great. Like and he doesn't ask me anything after that. He's like, "We can talk about that more anytime you like." It's just like,
Wow. That's very
I'm not
chatty. It's kind of coded, you know? He could just be really autistic and he kind of thinks like that, you know, who knows? Um,
he's a Scorpio, so, I mean, anything is possible, but I told him at one point, "I feel like I haven't gotten to know you at all," and then he told me a bunch about his past, like his family, but he's not telling me anything about his current life decisions, or he barely wants to talk about what he had for lunch, and I'm just like, "This is so fucking boring." I need to talk about food a little bit. Mars and Taurus, like, hello.
well, talking about food is the first step towards dinner. So that is a key thing, you know, you know, gotta get
God.
on that path. Um,
So, yeah, anyway,
yeah.
sorry.
I have a lot of seventh house planets, so it is, you know, I've actually like really paid attention to like different signs and like their typical
Bet.
interactions, you know, over the course of time. And yeah, it's interesting. Like Aries and Aquarius is really good on paper, right? But it's like
Mm,
they've got to get past the first wall. Because whatever people want to say about Aquarius, yeah, they're kind of ruled by Uranus, but they're also
Saturn.
definitely ruled by Saturn. So
Mhm.
they have very strong walls, and getting
Oh, it's
into
even
those
worse than
walls
that,
is
bro. Like,
difficult.
his Saturn is conjunct my Mars, so
Oh,
it's even more Saturnian.
wow. Well, that can be fun. I mean, that can be fun,
We'll see.
especially if you get past the first
We'll see.
level of it, right? Because
I
Saturn is fun in, in certain ways, like restriction, restraint, things like that. Like Saturn tends to be really good.
only
Um,
it's too late to turn back now.
Welcome in, Dr. H. Thanks for watching us. Right now, we're talking about relationships, but we promise to get into some of the bigger picture things that are
It started
happening
with a
in the world.
sextile. We were talking
Yeah,
about
it's
sextiles, and now now
started with the
now
sextile. That sounds
I
like a
got
good
vulnerable.
song.
It's okay. Yeah, it would be a
So,
good song.
yeah. So, speaking of sextiles, we've got four of the five outer planets that are in 4 degrees, four at four. So, you've got Uranus and Gemini. It's making a sextile with Neptune and Aries, and it's making a sextile with let's see, Jupiter and Leo, and it's trine Pluto and Aquarius.
Yeah.
Then you got Pluto and Aquarius that sextile Saturn and Aries. Trine or opposite trine Uranus and Gemini and opposite Jupiter and Pluto. So Jupiter and Pluto are the big handles of this crazy outer planet extravaganza that's happening the next 2 weeks. And it's like, it's never
Woo!
this many outer planet transits in 2 weeks. It's like, I've never seen it.
Dude,
People have been, astrologers have been talking about this next 2 weeks for basically 20 years. And it's here now, and the world is definitely it looks pretty fucked up. So I'm guessing that this new that the biggest thing that astrologers say about it is that after it's over, we'll have a much better view of what this new world is going to look like that we're kind of stepping into slowly. And that's connected to a lot of different things, you know, like you got Pluto and Aquarius, which is kind of exposing hidden networks. You've got Neptune and Aries, which is bringing up that heroic, somewhat delusional aspect of ourselves, forcing us to gain sovereignty. You've got Jupiter and Leo that wants us
sis.
out to get out on stage and be big and deal with the consequences of getting out on stage and being big. And then you've got Uranus and
Dude,
Gemini, which is basically information chaos. So,
I'm gonna have to link this to my mentor. She needs to see this.
yeah,
I have my human design mentor and 2 girls and I have been formulating and planning a big event, and the big event is supposed to happen. We're supposed to have our first one on the 23rd, and then our even bigger event for the Lionsgate. So the
8-8
all
Lionsgate.
everything we're building is within this window, and everything you just said cracks me up because it's so in so much alignment with the bigger picture behind the scenes, and, she needs to see this big time. Even the
I think
mistakes are encoded. Even the things that are going wrong are appropriately on time with this one.
yes, there is a
Yeah.
lot that's happening. That's weird in the world. I think that it's would we I'd be remiss to not say that. Yeah, things
I
seemed a
mean, I'm
little
not
bit
saying
fucked up.
everything's great. I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I think, um, it's wabi-sabi. I was explaining wabi-sabi recently, and it's perfectly imperfect. Nothing is broken. It's beautiful the way it is. There's this zen-ness in my philosophy about I have literally everything going on right now, like in my life and outwards. So, go ahead.
Well, wabi sabi, I think people should know what it is if they don't know what it is in the audience. So, from what I understand, wabi sabi is like a Japanese art, and it's say that a bowl breaks. You actually repair the bowl and make it more beautiful through the repairs, right? Like that's the wabi sabi. Is that correct?
I believe it definitely has some it is related to that. I can't remember if it's the same word. I'm having the word ikigai come up, but I think that might be like a sense of purpose. That might be something entirely different. But for the sake of brevity, yes, same concept. There might be an actual technical name for that glass that's broken and then filled with gold. But,
Hmm.
the concept behind the perfectly imperfect is wabi-sabi. So, it's like I said, it's not necessarily something broken might not be actually broken, it might be more beautiful. So that's the whole concept. Like, so things falling apart is actually good. It's better than it looks on the surface. Usually it's your perception just needing a little twinge of, you're not I was explaining this to Josh actually. My view of is there a scratchy sound in
There
my
might be a little bit of wind because I do have the fan on so that I'm not just
Oh,
sweating like
yeah,
a
please
hog
don't
here.
die.
So
I didn't know
yeah,
if that was me.
no, I think that's me.
I was explaining this to Josh. My version of Zen is being of oneness and deciding how you feel and finding peace with that regardless of what's going on around you, not always being unfuckwithable necessarily, like you it's not a perfect bubble where nothing happens to you. A lot of people think it's you reaching enlightenment is about a sense of operating in nothingness, impossible to achieve. It's more like you become still water regardless of what's being thrown into your pool, you know?
Word.
So,
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing that I think is a good way to look at the world and the news reports, and it's just because that's what you're seeing doesn't mean that's the whole truth of it. We all
for sure.
know that these things are highly cultivated propagandas. I'm sure we don't have the full story, period. So, it's just a matter of looking at it. The movie Life is Beautiful was a terrible movie in a way because, like, you're seeing such terrible shit happen and people dying
Hmm.
that were seemingly lovely, but the message of the movie stayed the same, Like, I don't even remember all of the ins and outs of that. I just remember there was, like I saw it one time, long time ago, but I remember the concept was basically what I'm saying. So,
Yes,
it hurts to see to see those reports. It gets scary and it feels like things could be going worse before they get better, but that's not even the full story. So
for
I'm
sure.
I'm in staying in a place of where I keep telling myself as a mantra, I don't know. I don't know because I don't know the full story. So I'm not going to decide A, B, C, and D just because I have a blank of information. So, like
Well,
you said, maybe I'm more embraceful of change because of that 7th house. You know, Uranus trine my Mercury and Venus. Maybe that makes it easier in a way, but, I
I
can
think
and if
change has been like we've been needing it for a long time.
yeah,
So there's like,
yeah,
but it's like I agree with that. So first of all, a lot of the things that are falling right now that are kind of breaking apart were probably best to fall. But as they are breaking apart, like there are impacts on people across the world, you know? So it's like, yeah, we can be happy maybe that changes are finally happening.
but, yeah,
Um,
they're not being
but
insensitive to the experiences.
yeah, the experiences of people going through it. And also we got to remember that through media, through propaganda, through misinformation, that the energy is of that change is being channeled in specific directions. So we should become unfuckwithable. We should embrace the change for sure. But we've also got to see, maybe this is the more plutonian part of me, you got to see what the movers are trying to do in this situation so that you can
Yeah,
understand what their goals are if you want to shape it in a different direction. And I think each individual,
touche.
especially now, has a lot more power than we used to. We have more channels, we have more abilities to get out information than we have before. Even if we're shadow banned, even if we don't have as much reach as we'd like, um,
That
we still have the ability to talk about things, you know. And as long as we have that ability, we should fight to continue to have that ability. And fighting isn't necessarily getting out into the streets, you know. It's like a lot of the old ways of challenging power um, are less useful than they used to be.
mm,
In fact,
mm,
the last 3 big major movements that I've seen in the US have been like, they've been shifted in other directions. So it's like, marching doesn't stop wars, you know? It did in the 60s maybe, but it certainly didn't stop, the Iraq War, for example. Um, and the system is actually set up to deal with violence, and
mm,
so that's like, not necessarily the easiest starter. And then even if you thought that that was the right way to go, who's gonna be the prime mover, you know? How do you move that kind of a beast? And people are still pretty comfortable, but less and less comfortable as, costs go up. So that's kind of the crucible that we're moving through, as far as I can tell, is life is becoming harder for a lot of people just to make it economically to get through. Um, for many people, and I understand that some people they can't relate to this, but for a lot of people, when prices of groceries and the things that you need to survive, of rent, everything keeps going up, and your wages aren't going up, or the job opportunities aren't there, like you're seeing a lot more people that used to be kind of in the middle class, kind of tenuously still in it or out of it, like
mm.
so those are important things to think about. And I don't think that we have to be scared of them, but we should be aware of them so that we're not caught flat footed.
Yeah,
And that's like my basic
valid.
way that I look at things.
Very
Yeah.
valid.
Welcome, Gary. Welcome, Misguided Herbalist. That's funny. Misguided Herbalist. It's a great handle. Um, if you have questions or if this brings up anything in you in the audience, please feel free to make a comment or ask a question and we'll riff off of it. That's what we're here for. So we haven't seen any comments yet, so I assume that there haven't been any. Um, but let me write a quick message really quick. Hey, see if it comes up. Yes, it does. So got it. Oh shit. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and follow Misguided Herbalist from here. That's cool. All right. Just because the name is really good and I like herbalism.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Well, here's one more thing, and then I want to turn it over to you, or maybe
I knew
you'll
you weren't
bounce off
done.
this.
I knew you weren't
Well,
done. Let's
the
go.
hard, the harder part right now is we're in this period of major transition, and during this period, Mercury is going to be retrograde the entire time in Cancer. So everybody's kind of in their feelings right now, like more than usual. It's Cancer season, it's a water season. We've got a Mercury retrograde in Cancer that doesn't get out of Cancer. It's just forcing us to deal with kind of the ways that maybe we've, let's see, come on, what's going on here? It's making us deal with the ways that our emotional coping mechanisms are not necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily made for this time. They're made for when we were growing up, or they're made for
Facts.
other times, you know. There we go. We're back. I was losing my screen and I was
Oh, I
fucking
was
with it.
wondering what you
So
meant.
that's why my hands kept being up here. I wasn't trying to cast spells. Not that kind of guy.
Even if you even if you were, I would trust that they weren't bad ones, you know?
I mean,
I
I
hope.
I don't do that.
There you go.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know how have you been dealing with Mercury retrograde. Like you've been kind of stationary, which is not
I
ever
feel
easy for an
crazy.
Aries.
Crazy. I am very active bodied. So I've been frustrated up and down, up and down, up and down, and feeling very stressed and out of my element because I can't go be around people. I can't go to the gym. I can't like physically move through my emotions. So I've been like I like what you said about old coping mechanisms not working
Yeah.
because that's something coming up for a lot of my clients right now on top of my mentor. We were just on the phone a minute ago and like things she was talking about and things that I've experienced like um I used to drink away like big frustrations or big helplessness um feelings or just if I couldn't shake the feeling of sad for more than a day, you know, I would go get something to drink. But um, while I have drank a little bit while I have my ankle broken, I haven't gotten drunk. You know, I'm not picking days when I feel emotionally peaked to do that because it makes everything worse. It locks it in instead of makes it better. And so I've discovered how drinking when you're in a mood or, you know, doing anything and when you're in a mood can lock it in. So I've been choosing to, if I can't stop my mind, you know, consciously, I will take a nap or listen to I've been taking lessons like Hindi lessons and Arabic lessons at the same time. So I'll just
Nice.
dive into either, you know, foreign music or a foreign movie or foreign language. So I'm not even thinking anything consciously in English right now. If I'm edging towards like catastrophic thinking already, I'm trying to avoid anything that would stimulate me towards negativity. So you know, pulling away from having big deep conversations or having too much personal contact. I'll stay in my room or avoid general chat or whatever I got to do to
Yep.
feel solitude and pull away in general. So I've been doing a lot more consciously watching my own moods and giving them what they need in the moment instead of trying to run away from them. And that includes anything that I've had to do for paperwork or doctor's offices and miscommunications going on or having to like I thought I was going to get this peg leg this whole time, this thing called an eye walk, right? And I was going to be a lot more mobile, but my insurance between the insurance and the supply companies, I haven't received it yet, but they gave me 2 knee scooters, and they don't have records of sending me 2. So, we
Hmm.
don't know how I got 2. So, you know, I have this like, I have all these weird little snafus going on, and I'm, you know, like, almost all the way healed by now. But so I'm just like, "Ugh, don't understand why everything had to be so hard." But it's just a lot of taking deep breaths and finding something else to think about or something you can solve in the moment and letting some things be unfinished. Daring to let something have a lack of control or no formation or no conclusion or, just it's just deep allowance. And that seems like it's not even enough, and submission's not even the right word, but it's more like, and this is a word that triggers me a lot, but it's more like receiving whatever comes your way, and it's just being in the mood of reception, and it's very feminine, and it's annoying as fuck because I'm 60/40 masculine in my natal chart. Like,
Hmm.
I'm very forward with for a woman when it comes to action and the way I deal with things, and I don't cry very much. Not necessarily that that's a brag thing. I just am not terribly weepy as a girl. Like, so I tend to sweat and work out my emotions that way. But I've had to completely change everything while I've had a broken ankle. There's been almost no escape. No escape. So that part's been rough. I haven't taken painkillers for during this entire time, so I wasn't like, "Cool, at least I have an opiate haze,"
Yeah,
like,
right.
there was nothing. There was nothing, and that's exactly the way I wanted it. Like, I could have probably asked for something, but I specifically told them I didn't want anything. So, I wanted to just do this, because addiction prone, and I don't wanna go down that road. Like, I was in a really good place right before I broke my ankle. I don't wanna retroactively have to build my life back up,
Oh, for
like,
sure.
it's bad enough I gotta get all my gains back in the gym, like, I gotta start
Yes.
from that alone, like, so there's a lot of things that I can't control and I'm letting go. So that's how I am handling it. It's just the most feminine I've ever had to be, and it's terrifying, and the concept of receiving like that makes me feel like I'm in danger, but it's
Yeah.
because every time you get given something, it's there's leverage usually, or you wind up owing something in another way. So it makes me feel real sketch because I've had to ask a lot of help. I've had some of my people send me more money than usual because I wasn't working and I was scared and, like, I couldn't cook for myself. So I needed DoorDash almost every day for a month or so. So I needed a lot of money and just to live and, like, have at least 1 square meal a day until
Yep.
I could get, like, certain things figured out, like something hot. And, like, I had, like, yogurt and, like, cold things, but I couldn't even stand to cook myself eggs because, like, standing with this wheelie walker, you can't get up close to the countertops and stuff. So,
Yep.
I mean, it took me 3 days this week just to catch up on dishes finally once I could stand a little bit.
Oh,
So,
really?
it was like mountains of dishes to get back to. So, I finally did it. That's part of my testing myself to stand more and more on this ankle, but, like, that's real. That's real life. So there's just things that have been needing to be caught up on, and they're finally moving, but emotionally, it was very stressful in some ways, but allowing yourself to go through those emotions and hold space for them without escaping them is really all you can do, and it's the most control you have.
I've been on kind of a similar trip lately, actually,
Mm,
surprisingly. Neptune has been moving right across my ascendant. Neptune's in Aries. My ascendant is
mm,
at 4 degrees. So it's going to go past my ascendant and then it'll go back over it into the 12th house and then I'll come back forward. And during this, it's already like I've been having a lot of questions of identity. What do I want to do next? How much do I want to brand myself? How much do I want to do this and that? And like, what am I trying to build towards? And
mhm,
like, what do I want to be next? And during that period, I realized that I'd been eating these gummies, and they were like hemp derived gummies, and
yeah,
they weren't great. They didn't always make me feel super good, but it was kind of habitual. I have been a marijuana has been a good friend of me over the course of time. Me and Mary Jane go way back, and I've had periods where I've completely left it out of my life, but recently I left it out of my life completely. And about
mm,
4 days or 5 days in, I started getting my dreams back, like vivid, heavy dreams. Maybe that's part of the reason why I got into those because my dreams are often very heavy, and weed kind of makes it so I don't have those dreams. Um, we just lost. Oh, well, I lost you for a second, but you're back, so everything's good. Um, you blanked out. You don't have sound anymore. Just so you know, I can't hear you anymore. So, could if anybody's in the audience, can you hear Katie? Maybe I'm just the only one that can't hear her. If somebody could just make a comment if they can hear her anymore, please. Could he please? Okay, you're
Hello?
back. I can hear you again. There's
Okay.
a
I just had
slight
to turn my
delay.
headset off and on.
There's a slight delay now, so it's coming a little bit. Your sound is coming a tiny bit after you say it. Um,
I don't know what to do about that. That's not cool.
well, it's better now. It's getting better. Okay, maybe it's just a latency thing and it'll work itself out.
I'm
Um,
closing all the apps that might be open on my phone just in case.
okay. um,
Duolingo.
Duolingo. I've been getting into Duolingo. I'm relearning Spanish a little bit. I know how to say Germany. It's Alemania, which is cool. I like that. Um, I forget Spania. I don't know. I've been watching the World Cup lately too, which has been pretty
That's
exciting.
fun.
Uh, and I've cut like weed out of my life, and that was like a coping mechanism for me for a long time. And I went kind of hard on the 4th of July, but I've been cutting back quite a bit on alcohol consumption as well. So I figure as Neptune is crossing my ascendant, I need more clarity. So that's why I've been
Yeah.
switching in that direction. Although I do miss having you know, a few too many beers every once in a while. Um, but that's it's a
I
habit.
just I haven't enjoyed that feeling of having a few too many in a long time. I kind of miss, like, getting to that golden moment, but everything after that, trying to stay in the golden moment and then the recovery period is just that's where I get real fucked up if I try to
Yes.
chase that because it doesn't tend to last very long, and then even when you try to drink, it doesn't always feel.
Oh no, we lost you again. I don't know what's happening. It's okay. You're back. You're back. Your voice is not back. So in this short amount of time while we're waiting for Katie to get back, I'm just gonna there you
Now I'm
sounds
back.
back.
It seems I keep getting texts in the group text, and it keeps every time that I get a text, that happens, so I just put the notifications on silent.
Yeah, that's short.
Everything's already on do not disturb, so I don't understand why that's even happening. So,
yeah, I don't
that's
know.
annoying. Anyway,
So yeah, so again, astrologers have been looking forward at this period for 20 years or more. Um, there's a special word that some people call it, but it's like a bowl, because
mm,
it's like 4 consecutive signs. So you got Aquarius, you've got after Aquarius, you've got Aries, after Aries, you have Gemini, and after Gemini, you have Leo. And the opposition between you're out, you're back. The opposition between Leo and Aquarius is really the thing that people are looking at. And what I've thought is kind of interesting lately is Jupiter's moving towards, in President Trump's chart, Jupiter is moving towards his natal Mars and Pluto in the 12th house in Leo. And, those planets aren't necessarily good. They're not necessarily super conscious. And Jupiter expands whatever it touches. So these next few years are like this next year at least, as Jupiter keeps moving through Pluto, we might see more erratic behavior, more outsized behavior. So If you haven't had enough yet, just wait, just wait, just wait. And then
Remember
Uranus is
Billy
also
Mays?
Billy Mays, yeah, for sure. But wait,
But
there's
wait, there's
more.
more.
um, yeah. So, and your voice is
Yeah.
back. Everything's good. I think we got it figured. So,
Yeah, it seems like if I restart my mic, if that happens, everything works out just fine. It's just I'm not usually getting texts, but I have this like business group chat that the ladies are
yep.
deciding to chime in on all of a sudden. So whatever. If hopefully they'll stop talking because I don't know how to not get those texts.
Yes.
So
I'm pretty sure it'll be good. Welcome to Whispers from the
everybody's
Void.
here. Nice, nice,
Jennifer,
nice.
welcome. Olga. Feel free to chat in the comments if you want to ask us questions. Like, our main concern is this big outer planet conflagration that we're moving through. And honestly, a lot of it's good, but the outer planets, like, because most of it is like trines and sextiles, there's only one opposition. It's the opposition
Yeah,
between Jupiter and Pluto. You've got an air trine between Aquarius and Gemini, and you've got a fire trine between Neptune and Jupiter. So, and a lot of sextiles
interesting.
between all of those. But the outer planets having a good time is not necessarily the people on Earth always having a good time. So they're all
It depends on
communicating
how it
with each
hits in your
other.
chart. It really depends
Yeah.
on where how things hit in your chart individually. I believe outer planets do have an effect. Like I'm not one of those people that toss away the outer planets just because they're generational. I love looking at how what they do to the personals because that's really what matters. Is it really affects the depth of how your personal planets behave. So I would think that I mean anybody listening, I would really, really, really look at your chart or pay somebody to help you look at your chart.
Yes.
And
Welcome to.
absolutely like, that's literally get the guidance because individually it's going to hit everybody like a fingerprint, it's going to be different for everybody. The degrees matter. So get that looked at, but
Yeah.
in general, I feel like there's a very explosive energy to the Leo Jupiter and the Pluto and Aquarius. And I think there's more aptitude for misunderstandings right now because everybody is very interested in showing how much they know or showing that they're more different than everybody else or more special or needing more validation. So
Yeah.
I think there's a sensitivity to that can cause explosions. You think of like Goodfellas, like the "Do I amuse you?" conversation where the guy gets beat in the
Yeah.
face with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like just that kind of thing where there's this, you know, I'm not taking that shit. And but that's on like a
A big
global
level.
scale,
Yeah.
like big level.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how folks report that plays out for them. But also, again, I will always come back to this quote from Henry Rollins where he says, "You and I as individuals are going to be fine, but we the people are fucked. We the
Yeah.
people as a group or collective is fucked." Like so, they feel like that needs to be repeated. He's a very big Aquarius stellium, if I remember correctly. So he is a representative on that Plutonian side. So I would think that that makes perfect sense in that regard. Like if we have a more outward, I mean, people who are in survival mode can't afford to think outside of themselves anyway.
Hmm.
Generally, it's a privileged thing to be able to look at what everybody else is going through because usually somebody that's in survival mode like that needs to have a very inward self focus because they're in danger if they take their eyes off that. So it's I guess that's why I say what I say with the me thing because I feel like this individual journey is where it really shines and how we decide to be okay, you know, and we can be, and I'm not talking about the kind of me that will, like, push somebody else, into the danger zone so you can be fine. I'm not talking about that. You have to be a team player with Pluto and Aquarius, otherwise you're going to get murked. You're going to
Yeah.
get mocked. You're going to have the problem. So it's like you have to figure out how to do both and have a decent web of community, but also be very careful. I think I think this is cult weather.
I think that, yeah, in general, this would be like probably the place where most cults would rise, especially under Jupiter and Leo. And the danger of the cults rising is like, you got to be careful of anybody that tells you that they have it like all figured out, or gives you very simple solutions to everything. Like, oh, this could all be fixed if we just did this and this and this and this. The worst cults are going to say this and this is we just got to take care of the other. And the other can be whatever, you know? It could be it could be like a race, it could be like a class of people, it can be whatever. But people in general, especially people that are maybe not super aware of what's been going on for a while, maybe they haven't had the privilege or the ability to even kind of understand it because they don't have the education or they don't have the capacity. Um, those are the people that are the masses when you start seeing big changes happen. And the masses act really strange during crisis. This is well known. And I was kind of reminded when you were talking about that is, if a bear is after you while you're camping, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You have to be faster than the slowest camper.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
and there's going to be a lot of slow campers out there. And all we really have to do is be aware as much as we can of what's happening, what's changing. There's a lot of people that are writing a lot about it. There's a lot of people that are putting out good information. You've got to learn discernment. Like, you've got to learn to be able to take in ideas and realize which ones are not very useful and which ones are actually gold, which is a very Virgo thing. We've luckily got Venus in Virgo, so we might be able to understand it aesthetically a little bit more right now because Venus is in Virgo. Um, but yeah, you're going to see a ton of people rise. Some of them are going to be propped up, to serve certain narratives or to serve certain, you know, uh, agendas. And you've got to be able to learn that there is some real leadership that's going to rise up in this too, because crisis actually is one of the main things that is the crucible that leaders are born through. So it's interesting. We're in a weird time. Just to get like slightly political for just a second, like
I'll tolerate it.
big things have happened this last week. Saudi Arabia has jumped into the war, and they've started bombing Yemen. Yemen controls another strait,
Mm,
um, which is where a bunch of our shipping moves through. So we've got two straits that might be closed, and that's a choke
wow,
point of global energy supplies. It's a big deal, like it's a big deal that
huge.
there's no energy, there's no fertilizer, there's no real jet fuel coming through a lot of these places.
Hmm,
And in the meantime, in the US, we're getting told that the war is over or we're going to bomb in the smithereens, and that's like every other day. So it's like constant bait and switch is happening in the US about like what's actually happening. But what's certainly not happening is energy resources are not
hmm,
passing through the places they normally pass through. Um, and that means that the world is dependent on fossil fuels. The world is dependent on energy. So if energy becomes more scarce and we can no longer cover it up through financial manipulation, which has been happening, if we can no longer just pull from our reserves, which are pretty close to actually empty right now, like the cost of energy is going to go up. And some parts of the energy system that we depend on, like jet fuel,
hmm.
might completely go away. Diesel might be a lot more scarce. And if diesel is more scarce, there's less trucking and shipping, all depends
That's
on
travel on
diesel.
every front. That's travel being difficult on literally every single front.
Well, some might say that that's probably the plan, you know. The more
Mhm.
Plutonian among us would say that that's the plan because if you have people that are desperate, um, and then you offer their salvation with conditions, that's how you
Mhm.
that's how you gain more power for yourself, less freedom for the people. And that is, I think, the game that's being played. But that's just me, you know, like that's my own intuition and my own research about it. And
That's exactly the type of narrative that was being spoken about in the 90s, so I would not be surprised.
well,
I told you, I listened to Art Bell way back then, like, none of this
yeah,
is new.
none of it is new. It isn't, you know, some call it a new world order, but none of it is new. It's been talked about a lot. Um, I
For
had
30,
the
40 years now. Like, it's not new.
my experience when I was kind of becoming politically aware was the first Gulf War. It was
Mm.
2001. I was in college, and the not the first one, but the second one, I guess, Operation Iraqi Freedom
I was
was
gonna say, really?
oil,
The Gulf War?
oil.
Like, really? The
Actually,
'90s?
it was called Operation Iraqi Liberation at first, but that like was
Mm,
oil. That spells out oil, so they
yeah,
changed it to
okay.
Operation Iraqi Freedom. Um, and that was like early 2001. That was the response to 9/11, right? And
Mm,
9/11, they already had this paper where they were going to pass the Patriot Act and the Homeland Security Act,
mm.
and they had that planned. The neocons had that planned before any of
Oh,
that
yeah.
happened. They said, "We just need another Pearl Harbor for this to happen." And
Yeah.
then 9/11 happened. And that's like Richard Pearl, Paul Wolfowitz. It's like if you want to look it up, go ahead and look it up because a lot of that information is harder to find now. You know, it's kind of been memory hold. Um, but people that lived through it actually have knowledge about it. So I'm not saying this to be like heavy or to be mean about it, but it's like you got to be aware of what's happening. Keep yourself obviously okay, you know, as much as you can, but also be adaptable to changing circumstances because most of the headwinds are not looking, they're looking pretty rough, you know. They are, you know, I wish they weren't, but they are. And there's maybe something miraculous that's in that line, and I'm always open to, like, miraculous solutions to things, but you know, I having trouble seeing how it's gonna play out, you know, like, in that case, but these outer planets all being in these, like, pretty much positive transits, there's so much positivity, there's, like, the reality that we could, like, really lower the cost of everything with, like, robotics, with AI, like, labor, the cost of labor, like, in general being
Yeah.
lowered, but the problem with that is, like, well, then how do we make the money to actually buy the things, right? So there's all these back and forth things that are happening, and a lot of them are based on the fact that all of these things are owned by corporations, and corporations all
Right.
have their goal is to increase their profits as much as they can each quarter, and they're actually legally obligated to do that. So our basic systems are not human centric systems at all.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to fall. So there's that aspect of this shit crashing down, economic hardship, all these things actually being the necessary steps before we can actually reset, which is fucking crazy. And I understand it's heavy, but we're entering like a new time. All these outer planets have moved into new signs. We're into it. We're already seeing the shape of it. And that shape should get clearer over the course of the next couple weeks. And that's all that I'll say that's due me at all. And this is, I'm a Scorpio. I could go for, I've got a lot of Scorpio. I could go for a long
I feel right back to the Henry Rollins quote, though.
time.
You and me as individuals are going to be fine but we're fucked. You
Yeah.
and I are fine. We're fucked. Like that system's gonna be people in church don't care of the me or the me of the world. We could all starve and they will all be fine. Yeah, I see your point.
Well, I mean, I'm not so sure. I think that we're needed uh, to a certain extent. I think that our energy is needed by, I mean, you've got like a lot of occult societies that have been around for a long time that people get inducted into. You have a lot of lore about all of this that, Loosh, for example, like that perhaps, that is maybe the reason they keep us around, that maybe we are a little bit more useful to them than we think. And we got to remember that the reason that people are able to be at the top of the pyramid is because there's all those levels below them holding it up. So what happens when those levels start falling away
Correct.
underneath the bottom of the pyramid? You'd expect that maybe the stability of the pyramid would become a little bit a little bit more tenuous.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but yeah, okay. Moving on. Done with my Scorpio corner. Sorry for the heaviness.
So I'm curious, back to weed and alcohol. How are you feeling overall?
Um,
How are you thinking? How are you feeling? How are you expressing differently? How is your work doing now?
the the interesting part is like during Gemini season, I was like firing on all cylinders. I was going out all the time. I was like meeting people. I was doing like the super being out in the world a lot more because I felt like I needed to meet people locally, and I followed up on some of that, but I've had a lot less desire during Cancer season to be out in the world. Um, I did just drink Whispers from the Void. I did just drink. I didn't say if you were here earlier, you would have heard that I'm not drinking as much right now. The last time I drank heavily was July 4th. Um, but yeah, the main thing that I've cut out is gummies. And so that has basically allowed my dreams to come back, which is good and interesting. There's been a lot of weird dreams. So,
So as did not so much affecting your work either way.
no, I'm not like I've been more creative. Like I've been kind of going
Mm.
in some other directions on my Substack page, like writing out some longer stories. Um, I've got like this cool idea about like two people that get in contact with like goetic spirits when they were young and dumb, and it kind of ties into like these big Pluto and Aquarius themes that I've been thinking of for a long time. Like, yeah, it's
Cool.
been fun. So I've been like developing a bunch of ideas and collaborating with people and continuing on the work of other things, and yeah, it's been fun.
I
Uh,
um I allowed myself to drink a little bit more, like I said, during my ankle break situation. And I actually had some creative breakthroughs. And I started making reels again for fun because I'm not trying to like race my algorithm right now and make my dashboard super happy. But I brought everything back into the green as far as, and it's not like lots of money, but like I'm getting a little more change for my posts on Facebook right now. And that was
nice.
an interesting change in energy because I started having a new thought pattern. So that's why I'm asking because, like, either way you slice it, these coping mechanisms, I suspect, dampen or enhance in some way with creative energy. And it's a kind of a crapshoot as to whether you need to yield to them or if you need to avoid them. Especially with these Neptunian and Aries transits, like it really just depends on everything it's hitting. Like it's on my I think Neptune's on my sun, I think, and I
I
think
think it should still be.
Saturn's on my Venus, Mercury at 18 still.
Yes,
So
Saturn's opposing my.
just is opposing your what?
I've got like 4 major transits happening right now. I've got
Uh,
Pluto opposing my natal Jupiter. I've got Jupiter conjunct my natal Jupiter. So that's really connected with this big thing that's happening. And then I've
uh,
got Neptune on my ascendant, and then Saturn is opposing my Pluto, Mercury in Libra right now. So from the 1st to the 7th. So like I've got 4 major transits that I'm like living through right now, and a bunch of things that are just contacting my ascendant. So I've got to figure out like how to move through the world when it's very confusing right now because Neptune's right on me. And I've always been like focused on clarity, as much clarity as I can have with the world. And I've had to just give up on that uh, because it's very difficult to understand what's actually happening because I don't really trust much media anymore, you know? Like, so,
I'm sure it works both ways. I'm sure like you're not being perceived clearly either.
oh,
And
I'm
I
sure.
think about that as well. Like, um, I definitely feel like that's definitely the case with Saturn and Neptune. Like, I don't even have a clear lock on my identity right now because everything that I normally am is being forced to slow down. It's at a snail's pace, like, so it's just everything feels like it's in goo or it's very foreign and it's either, like leaning into it, it creates more creativity, like relaxing and not trying to want too much, I guess. I feel like I think that's probably the Saturn conjunct Venus conjunct, Mercury thing is like wanting is not a good place for me right now. I don't
Yeah.
know is a good place for me right now. So the more I say I don't know, that the more secure I feel, the less predictability in some type of way. Forcing predictability feels feels really gross. It feels like prostitution. It feels gross.
Yeah.
Like forcing something to feel better in the moment instead of letting it play out feels really gross. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that because it's not normally me, but that's what's happening.
I've had to deal a little bit more with like allowing, like, cutting back on weed. I allow discomfort a little bit more in my life, you know? I'm like welcoming it a little bit more. Um, like generally when I drink, it's like drinking cuts down my inhibitions. So it just kind of
Mm.
allows like the more loud, more kind of obnoxious part of myself, which I actually kind of love to come out. But I think if I can like figure out how to transition through it, I think that I can do that without too much alcohol. I'm not willing to give up alcohol completely because I've got my brother's bachelor party coming up, you know, and I'm definitely going to be drinking at that. So I'm not going to get myself completely clean before that's over, at least, you know. But because Neptune's on my ascendant, I feel like after that's over, I might just try to cut it out completely, you know. Um,
At least for to see what happens. At least for, a short amount of time to see what
oh,
happens.
I'm not planning on getting a challenge coin or anything, you know. It's like I think it's the sacrament of the West. Alcohol is kind of the sacrament of the West. I'm not giving up my
Mm.
sacrament. So, um, but you know, I
The
could go
sacrament of
month.
the West
I
is still baking on the back of my mind. The sacrament of the
you know,
West. I suppose that's true.
it's like literally true, right? Because it's wine and bread, right? So that's the sacrament of the West, if you really think about it. Um, every
But one could argue it could be tobacco. One could argue.
you could argue that that's the sacrament of America for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's like it's like kind of weird, right? Because you've got like the sacrament of the natives, which was tobacco, and the sacrament of the West, which is like wine or alcohol, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And each one
Mm,
of those had like a super kind of negative impact on the other places, right? Like alcohol
mm,
in native culture because they didn't have a lot of access to it, you know? like for many years. It wasn't natural to them. Like during the Middle
Yeah,
Ages and in Europe, they were like because the only way you could make sure that the water was good was if it was
correct.
actually turned into
Fermented.
alcohol. So
Yeah.
people were drinking like literally all day. So our ancestors' livers suffered so that we can, deal with alcohol a little bit better, but we weren't necessarily super adapted to tobacco when that came in, but
No.
we loved it,
No.
right? So everybody was smoking and losing lungs and, you
Doing
know,
snuff.
doing snuff, getting like nose cancer. I can't even imagine.
Weird.
Terrible, terrible things. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting, like where we are just like right now as a society in general. It's like very tenuous. Like I felt like this 4th of July was one of the least, I was the least celebratory. And it was something that like all
Yeah.
through my life, I've been really celebratory at 4th of July. And I've never been down on it, like really. Even when I was like the most lived that I ever was in Portland, I wasn't ever down on the 4th of July. I always wanted to see fireworks and I always enjoyed that aspect of it. And this year it like felt like there was a lot less to celebrate, because we're not united in any real
It
sense of the
doesn't
term.
feel culturally unified in any ways whatsoever. Like at yeah, I'm gonna sound real old. At the turn of the century, there was like
Yeah.
this big Y2K culture. You
It
know exactly what I'm talking about. There was
was fun.
the metallics and the futurism and just like even with visuals and um common themes in just pop culture. There's just not much of a design or vibe or it's just a repeat of people wanting to have 90s nostalgia, and that is very weird to me, but it's fun because obviously we lived through that and what we remember of it as from being kids was really fun, but
Mhm.
it's like where's the culture? Where's the heartbeat at right now? I don't really know, and it's really hard to feel that um same feeling that I felt about like that holiday as I did as a kid. Like it just feels different. It's like I don't really I didn't feel the need to go outside and look at the fireworks. It just is like, I went to bed,
Yeah.
got
I
cozy.
mean, my kids were there, right? So we were in the neighborhood and there was a couple neighbors. She's just ratting in the comments at us.
I
It's all
had
good.
I see.
Yeah, bratting in the comments. It's fine. You're allowed to brat in the comments if you want to. So let's see. Uh, yeah, like when I was growing up, like we didn't always have that much money, but when my dad had money on 4th of July, we'd always go to the Indian reservation and get the illegal fireworks, and we'd have bottle rockets and the Roman candles and the little tanks and like the little
That's
snakes
cool.
that you light on fire. Um, so yeah, interesting.
That's special,
Yeah.
fun family memories. I think there
So
was maybe one time I have even sort of anything close to that, but my grandpa flipped out because there was fireworks on the property, and we never were able to do it twice, but, I mean, it was fun. I don't think it was anything illegal, you know?
yeah, yeah,
I that would've been fun, but
yeah.
very,
Well,
very tame childhood.
my kids enjoyed the fireworks in the neighborhood, so they got to
Cool,
enjoy
that's really
4th of July,
important.
and that was what was important to them. But
Yeah.
I usually grill for it. I usually invite people over and I just wasn't feeling it. Plus it was on a Pisces moon this year, which I think maybe added to that. I was
Yeah,
more in my emotions on it. Um, yeah, for sure.
that
Sad.
seems about
I
right.
love holidays. I fucking love holidays. My mom was always, as I was growing up, my mom was always like super into holidays. We had every single one, there'd be, like, things that we'd have to put up for the holidays. Halloween, she loved. Christmas, she fucking loved. We had, like, 15 boxes of shit up in the attic that we'd have to bring down every holiday, and it would be, like,
Wow.
all over our house, like
That's
Halloween was
cool.
close to that. So it's like, I'm definitely going to enjoy Halloween this year. No problem.
I my experience of holidays was a lot worse. She was very fundamentally Christian, so there would be years where, you know, there'd be like, "It's cool to be doing Halloween, and we'll take you out one year," and then the next year, it was super, super duper Christian, and she was trying to get us to quit listening to rock and roll even, and then, like, no TV, and then there'll be another year where she decided it was cool to, like, let us have a Halloween party with and invite friends up and, go do the whole thing, and then the next year, again, like, nothing, you're not allowed to even dabble, like, it's satanic, and so it was just, like, very inconsistent with Halloween especially, but then there was years where Christmas was okay, and then Christmas wasn't okay because she figured out how pagan everything was, and it's just
Oh,
like she's
sad.
Very Aquarius, very
So she
anti it's
fixed.
she was basically more or less using the holidays for when she felt like hanging out with people and when she didn't. And,
Yeah,
so then she'd blame it on something collective when it was really
just she didn't
just
want to chill. Yeah.
so it was just about whether or not she had the energy to deal with people or not that year, like fuck your cousins. Like I'm not going to Thanksgiving with them. Like, there was
Right.
always something going on. So there was holidays were very intermittent, and I wanted to enjoy them, but if there was no joy in it, and unless my grandparents created the joy at their house, which was next
Yeah.
door, so sometimes it was pretty fun, but I never got that, tingling in my brain over the holidays. After a certain
Yeah.
point, it just became like dread instead because people
Yeah.
were acting weird in traffic or there was a reason for somebody to act up. My ex-husband would throw fits for the holidays, instead of have things go on like normal. Like it was just like, there's something would always go wrong. So it was just never really that fun after, so but I have since I've been single, tried to reclaim the holidays on my own, but even like this last year, like literally this last week, with the 4th of July, I wasn't into it. I wasn't into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I made myself like go experience it, but it was not as fun as it usually is. I just feel like the US is in like a growth crisis. We're trying to figure out who we actually are. I don't think
Correct.
we have like a lot of older understandings of who we are, but we've kind of had those like subsumed with this like kind of consumerist like slop culture, which is like not really who we are, but we don't remember like the generations that are alive right now. Very few of them remember what we were before we
Correct.
became like consumerists. Um, so I think that that's like hopefully this next few years is America like either remembering the good parts of our identity, you know, or creating a new identity,
Or at
Um,
least a more honest view of where we currently are instead of an idyllic, idealized, transposed version. Like, we are not the suburban, Leave It to Beaver generation
yeah,
anymore. Like, there's a lot of people that see a distorted version of tradition or see a distorted version of what liberal reality is, and neither picture is accurate to what is actually happening with, kids or the people that are becoming young adults right now. So
oh yeah.
what are we? What's the definition of their life? Like we don't even really have a hard read on that.
Well, I think that the Zoomer generation has definitely gotten it like the hardest. Like the millennials had like a lot of trouble because when they were coming of age, like 2008 hit, and like they've lived through a series of crises basically through their whole lives. But the Zoomers were born like, or they're coming of age in like this absolutely like kind of surveilled understanding. Like
Right.
when I used to be young, I'd go out and party. I'd do stupid things. I'd know that there was not going to be a video of me like doing stupid things on TikTok the next day. Like young people don't have that anymore, right? They don't have like that. Like people aren't able to like really express like the craziness of youth because people are
Mm.
constantly recording, you know? Like it's crazy, you know? It's hard uh for younger people. Plus, they don't have a whole lot to look forward to for, you know, steady work or anything like that. Like most of them are like doing some bullshit to get by. And which
People
is
wonder
like a
why
lot
there's
of,
an OnlyFans culture. It's like,
yeah, right?
duh,
Well,
we need multiple incomes.
we need money. We need money.
Nobody's
Um,
paying a living wage. Ah.
yeah. And like people have to get houses, right? So like I feel like the Pluto and Sagittarius generation is like to a certain extent ticking time bomb. Um,
Mm.
because when there's a long enough time where people are just in lack, you know, as a
Yeah,
generation, especially
that
young
survival
people.
thing. People
Yeah.
get tired of they want to thrive.
Yeah. And they're people are more willing to fight for it. I saw these for Pluto and Sagittarius, especially, so the Zoomer generation in general, like the amount of people that said, like, well, we have to have violence for real change to happen. Well, there have to be something big that happens. Well, we have to do something about it. It was like for the Zoomers, it's like 65, 35. That
Mm.
yeah, we probably will. For millennials, it was like 52, 48 or something right around there. And then for Generation X, it was like that was the first generation that was like, probably not. We probably don't need violence, but it was close too. It was like 45, 55. And then the boomers are the big outliers. They're like 2080 or something like that, you know? Um, because to be fair, the Pluto and Leo generation, like they're at the top of it right now, you know? And they've
They
been at
are.
the top of it for a long time. And I don't have any problem with Pluto and Leo people. I don't have a problem with the boomers. I don't. I'll like write about them accurately, and they might have problems with that, but I don't have problems with them as a generation. I think that they had a lot of good qualities to them. You know,
That's a good way of putting it.
yeah,
There was a lot of potential there.
yeah. I think that you know they didn't really have that much control over what the government did. They weren't necessarily paying attention that much, though, because
Yeah.
the times were
Well,
pretty good. You know,
th there was a lot of CIA involvement with the music scene, and that was happening for a reason, and we all know that that was real, that was legitimate at this point. It's been proven, so we know that a lot of that culture that we were since and then was orchestrated as well, so highly cultivated.
yeah, it is crazy how many of the big stars of that era were like kids of defense contractors and things like that.
Mhm,
That they yeah,
mhm,
I think Jim Morrison was, Frank Zappa
mhm.
was.
A
Um,
lot of the Laurel Canyon people have ties. A lot of the mamas and papas too.
huh, interesting. Well, the drug
Yeah.
scene was also like really influenced by, um, especially LSD. Not mushrooms necessarily, but LSD was really influenced by CIA, FBI, you know, type.
Yeah.
Maybe not FBI, but definitely like that was coming out of three-letter agencies, you know. And that's been proven through like the MK Ultra disclosures they just did, which is kind of weird. We're in this period where there's a lot of disclosure happening, but there's so much noise that people aren't necessarily reading it all. I think that recently it was disclosed officially by the government that Charles Manson was part of MK Ultra, which I
That
thought
makes
was like,
sense.
yeah, I figured, but you know,
I
it was
mean,
abs.
what they were doing to their foreheads wasn't on an average daily thing. Like crawling on their knees in front of the courthouse definitely seemed
Yeah,
very like a lot of programming to me. You know, there
yeah,
was fuzzy memories and too much. It's really hard when you read books to really get a grasp on what the truth was in that. And and there was this one book that I read about Manson where he was talking to somebody once he was already imprisoned, and he was saying how much the popular books were like completely inaccurate, da 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 da, and how he was framed, and or at least inaccurately convicted. he was like, "I should have been charged, but not with all of that. Like, there's other things I was doing that y'all should have charged me for,
Yeah.
like I was doing all that, not this." So, that was a very intriguing read to hear because it did give me a perspective on Manson as a person that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise, but I don't like, looking at him, and if I were to read him as a person, as a psychic, I see so much insecurity, and it's really interesting to think of about him being this powerful entity of a man when I'm seeing somebody that has bravado, because they don't necessarily buy their own rhetoric.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting juxtaposition. But again, that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Like, you don't really, were you there? Were you a eyewitness, or are you believing the story written by the victor and you get a certain perspective on the truth because that's what they're giving you? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
I don't
remember I
I
remember
don't know.
kind of
That's
having a go ahead.
Go on. I'm just still ruminating. Go on.
Yeah, I read Helter Skelter. My mom had that in the house like when I was growing up, so I read it pretty young. Um, and he wasn't a fire sign, he's a Scorpio. With maybe
Scorpio.
a Leo moon if I remember right.
Oh, that would explain
Um,
a lot.
but yeah, so I read a lot about him, but like the bigger point is that history is written by the victors aspect. And I've got 10% battery left, so we've got
Oh, gotta wrap it up.
probably about, 10 minutes left. Um, but what was it? The history is written by the victors. I remember like a big moment for me was reading Howard Zinn's People's History of the US.
Hmm.
And I read that for the first time in college, and um, I had never really questioned American history that much before I got to college. I was like not a dumb, but I was like a jock. I was like into like horror books. I was into sports and shit like that. And I got into college and I really did like start thinking about things. And it wasn't a sign, but somebody told me about that book. Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, People's History of the United States talks about US history from the not from the victor's standpoint. And I think it's useful in general to seek out some of the things that don't confirm our biases. And that is a very rare quality in human beings to seek out things that might make us change our opinions about things. And that's a big part of the internet is that you get like siphoned into an algorithm that constantly reinforces what you already believe, you know?
Correct. You
Yeah.
get that's how you get AI psychosis also. Like, there's more to this stuff brewing than we want to talk about. We don't even know how to handle all the problems yet.
That's true. Well, we'll never be able to figure out it. We'll create some solutions that will probably work for a little while and they'll create their own problems. And then we'll have to fix that down the road. Like that's human history over the
Yeah,
course of it. Like, and it feels like right now we're at the
facts.
edge of like the end of this system, whatever that means. And we're ready for the next one. But like, it's like in the transition from one to the other. That's the time of monsters. People
Very
with
much
AIs.
so. I feel like we're about to go back to analog,
We might. Yeah.
to a lot of things because, and I think this travel situation is going to force certain levels of smaller in person societal clicks and being able to get things. So
Yeah.
I can see that being an eventual thing where we're gonna not like a fully automated. Sorry, I'll hurry up. Not a fully automated future, where we have elements of what we just came from or what we have now, but I think there's a lot more analog in our future
I
as
think
well.
so too. I think like the digital will be kind of background. I think as people like will have to learn localization again if like fuel resources dry up and people can't
Yeah,
depend on their grocery stores getting filled. And because there's
scary.
people on earth that like actually believe that food comes from the grocery store, but that is of course incorrect. It does not come from the grocery store. It is shipped to the grocery store from all over the world. So yeah, you don't it's not actually a farm, you know, and people are not like super connected with where their food comes from anymore. Um,
Who actually thinks that? Like, I don't know. I don't know those people. I don't know those people,
it's
but I'm assuming that's
I think
true.
I think that's an like straight up IQ problem, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, but that's the reality, you know. Like if 100 is the average IQ, then 50% of people are going to be under that, right? And 50% of people are going to be over that. It's like,
Mm.
you know, um,
Okay, let's
it,
let your battery go. I know it's, like, on its last legs.
it is
We'll
on
do
its
more of
last
this
legs. It's dying.
whenever you feel like, next 2 weeks or a month, I don't care. So, we'll meet again.
All right. It's been fun. You should pitch anything that you're doing really quick.
Alright, so follow me on Sui Generous Regenerate on Instagram, YouTube, and on Facebook. You can follow me from Katie Shasky, my profile, Katie Shasky. I have a school that is more or less very intimate right now, very, very small, but it's called the Unlearning Lab for Astrology and Tarot. I do basically the same thing I do in the occult chat and ASO, which is, to helping people unlearn their preconceptions when it comes to their divination style and sort of dig into their internal, compass when it comes to interpreting cards, but also it bleeds into other areas of life and there's some coaching being done in there as well. So I just raised my prices on my Stan store. So I'm accepting a whole new era when it comes to that. So I'm going to be diversifying and having some return customer benefits as well. But so that's coming down the pike. But I'm also, coming into another show with for three other ladies. So we'll be advertising that. It's called Unconventional Riches.
Nice,
Spelled like bitches.
nice,
Unconventional riches with a T,
nice.
CH. And so that's gonna be the next big thing that I'll be promoting for sure is it'll be like a master class with all of our human design and other psychic gifts all put together and some strategies formed so that we can all really get some breakthroughs for people. And I'm excited to really get that underway. So you'll be seeing promotions for that on my all my channels. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Jazz hands, jazz hands. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Follow me here if you want, and if any chart work done, just DM me. Um, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
It's
follow
been
me here too.
lovely.
I forgot about follow me on Substack either in
Yeah.
any place. I create everywhere. So
Cool.
it's your publications are always worth following. So thank you for your time and it was a good chat and it's always fun. Good stuff. Thank you for showing up everybody. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
And